Hi guys, I want to do a quick walkthrough on how to get started using Trade Automation Toolbox with your IBKR account and their Trader Workstation platform. So step one, after you've opened TWS, is will be to sign in. Now, prior to doing that, there's one thing I do want to point out. It is important to make sure that the time zone on your computer and the time zone that Trader Workstation is running in are in sync. So to see that, you click on the More Options on the sign in screen, which will open this right-hand panel. And then the important things to look at are just to check and make sure that the time zone in this dropdown matches up with where you are located and on the computer or the virtual server that you are running TAT on. So I'm running mine in Central Time. It is 1:32 on the computer, 1:32 in America, Chicago time. So that is all exactly what we want to have. So I will go ahead and sign in, enter your username and password for your IBKR account. And I'm logging in just for demo purposes here into my paper trading account. Okay, now that we are signed in to our uh, TWS account, there are a couple of configuration settings that we need to change. Your screen may look a couple different ways. If you're in mosaic mode, you will need to go to File and then to Global Configuration. And then we're going to be looking at the API Settings section. So the important things to look at here are the very top setting, Enable ActiveX and Socket Clients. We'll need to be sure that that is checked. The checkbox below that for read-only API needs to be unchecked, which will allow you to actually submit real orders that will be transmitted. The second thing we need to check is the socket port. So that's the port number that their API client will be running on. The defaults usually are 7497 or 96, depending on if you're in paper mode or live trading. And then the final thing that is important to look at is if you scroll down a little bit, there's this setting about sending instrument specific attributes for dual mode API clients. And we want to make sure this dropdown is set to operator time zone. That is important to make sure that the quotes that TWS is sending to TAT come in using the same time zone that the computer and TAT and TWS are running in. So when you have all of those things set, you can hit apply and hit OK, and you should be ready to roll. If you're running in classic TWS mode, the setup looks a little bit different, but the settings that you need are the same. You'll still go to Edit this time and Global Configuration, and then the window that opens up is the exact same thing: API Settings, ActiveX Socket Clients, your port number, and then set this to Operator Time Zone. So once all of those things are running, you actually can go double check if you go to View and then Data Connections. You'll be able to see all of these green here that say connected indicate that you are successfully connected to the TWS market data servers. And then in this middle section under API connections, if your API is on, this will be listed here and it will say listening on. And then this port number 7497 is the port number that we configured just a second ago on the config tab. So everything there looks good. Something else that you're welcome to check just to make sure that you have all of the data that you're expecting is you can click the options trader window and then search for the SPX index and then just take a look to see that you're getting a last value that's changing up here at the top, which indicates that you're getting live SPX pricing. And then also check that in the options chain, you're seeing live prices and those prices change as well. If you want to make sure you're looking at the 0 DTE, you can hit more, check this weeklies and quarterlies. And then today's October 1st. So I can look at my 0-day options and see that I've got quotes there. So everything on the TWS side looks perfect. So we'll close that out and then flip back over to my Trade Automation Toolbox window. So, okay, now that we have finished setting up Trader Workstation, we're going to switch over to the TAT application. We will sign in. You'll pick the broker from the dropdown. In this case, we're working with IB. I will sign in with the email address and password that I use on the Trade Automation Toolbox website. So the email and password that you created signing up for your TAT account. This does not use your IBKR credentials at all. You only need those when signing in to Trader Workstation directly. So I will click sign in. Once the application loads, I will switch over. I'm going to flip this to test account because we're working in paper trading mode. So I'm going to go from there over to the settings page. The settings that we're going to need to look at are under the general broker settings tab, and then the options at the very top here. The IBKR TWS host typically will be blank. If you're running Trader Workstation on the same computer as TAT, then just leave that blank. The TWS port number is the important thing that will need to be set. And this number, as you can see, 7497 in this example, matches up with the socket port that we configured in the global settings on Trader Workstation. So that's how it knows how to connect and what port to connect onto. The client ID it defaults to 99 for TAT. You can leave that as is. That really only matters if you have other applications using the TWS API at the same time, which most people typically will not. You also do have the option here to tell TAT to automatically maintain your connection to TWS, either during market hours, always, or just have that disabled if you want to manually control when it connects. So you can configure that however you'd like. I usually leave mine connected always so that it's always maintaining that connection. And if there's a disconnect issue with TWS for some reason, it will recover it on its own. Then the final thing to configure, again, back to the time zones, we need to make sure that these two settings for when you want to convert any zero DTE stops to short, and also, and the most important, is the market close. So we need to tell TAT what time is the market close so it knows when to run end of day expiration operations. So I mentioned earlier, I'm in the US Central Time Zone so for me, that is 3 p.m. market close time. And then I want all of my stops to convert at, I'll say, 2:30 as the latest. So I'll make those settings, click the Save Settings button, confirm that that's got set okay. And then actually I was going to click the Connect button, but since I told it always to maintain it, it beat me to it. Uh, if you don't have that set, you can click the Connect to TWS button up here. Once you are successfully connected, you'll start to see the SPX price populate and this timestamp update as the SPX price is streaming in. You can also flip over to the quotes page where you'll be able to see the options chain and those quotes coming in with pricing populated. And then you also see this last change column updates every few seconds as those quotes stream in from TWS. So now that you're connected, we've got options and SPX pricing. You are ready to start trading.